6 p.m. on a Tuesday here in Korea. Welcome to our newscast. I'm Daniel Che. Let's start with the headlines. During the fifth status report from our cabinet, President Park Geun-hye asked for a concrete plan for building a safer and just nation, demanding innovation for sustainable growth and a stronger anti-corruption drive. South Korea's foreign minister lends his support to the president's suggestion to hold six-party denuclearization talks without North Korea. He also emphasizes the need for China to play a more active role in punishing the North for its latest nuclear test. Although the Korean economy grew at its slowest pace in 3 years last year, it was mainly due to X factors like MERS and the slowdown in China. Add to the equation the free trade deal with China and Korea's entry into emerging markets, and some experts are optimistic about a pickup this year. We begin at the nation's top office, where President Park Geun-hye has received her final policy briefing laying out ministry's plans for the year. She called for national innovation for sustainable growth, greater accessibility to government data, and a more transparent administration. Our Song Ji-sun starts us off.
President Park believes that sustainable growth is only possible through national innovation based on principles. During the fifth status report from her cabinet, the president asked for a concrete plan for responding to civilian complaints to build a safer and just nation where law and order stand firm. President Park also called for a stronger anti-corruption drive, saying that Seoul is in 27th place in the Global Corruption Index among the 34 OECD member countries.
질서를 확립하고 투명한 사회를 만들어가는 것이 국가 혁신의 기초가 된다는 점을 항상 유념해야 할 것입니다. 부패와 비리, 탈법과 편법을 낳는 비정상적인 관행과 적폐들이 경제에도 심각한 악영향을 끼치고 있기 때문입니다. 우리나라가 법 질서와 사회 청렴도를 OECD 평균으로만 끌어올려도 경제 성장률이 1%가량 높아질 것이라는 연구 결과들도 있는 만큼 이 과제가 국가 미래를 좌우한다는 각오로 최선을 다해야 하겠습니다.
To that end, the government will launch a special investigative team for corruption-related crimes. To improve Korean citizens' lives, the government will also provide a one-stop service to deal with a variety of issues from cradle to grave. That includes a new set of measures designed to better protect children from abuse and other dangers. As part of President Park's Government 3.0 initiative, the administration will make more state-owned big data public so that people can make use of the information. Song Ji-sun, Arirang News.
South Korea's foreign minister is advocating for five-party denuclearization talks without North Korea, promoting it as one way of getting the regime to abandon its nuclear ambition. The minister also called on China, Pyongyang's closest ally, to play a leading role in pressuring the regime. Connie Kim tells us more.
Holding denuclearization talks without North Korea could be a way to revive the six-party talks, which have been stalled since 2008. That's according to South Korean Foreign Minister Yoon Byung-se in an interview with Seoul-based Yonhap News Agency on Tuesday. Yoon said now is the time for the five parties, South Korea, the U.S., China, Japan, and Russia, to sit down for talks. His remarks are in line with President Park Geun-hye's recent proposal for five-party talks as one way to get the North to give up its nuclear ambitions. Yoon also called on China, the regime's longtime ally, to play a constructive role in pressuring Pyongyang, saying it's the international community versus North Korea when it comes to the regime's nuclear weapons program. China has been reluctant to impose heavy sanctions on Pyongyang. Reflecting its close ties with the North, Beijing recently voiced opposition to the idea of resuming the denuclearization dialogue without Pyongyang. Regarding a draft United Nations Security Council resolution on North Korea, Yoon said the related countries agree on the need for strong measures that correspond to the level of Pyongyang's recent provocation. Nearly 20 countries have reportedly taken measures against the North since the test, including the withdrawal of invitations to North Korean officials. The foreign minister said unilateral measures that include penalizing third-party countries that do business with the regime are also on the table. In an effort to secure Moscow's support for stronger sanctions on the North, Minister Yoon says he's planning a trip to Russia, one of the veto-wielding members of the UN Security Council and a six-party talks participant. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
Let's talk about the economy now. Korea grew in the 2% range last year, failing to reach the government's coveted target range of 3%. The economy did show signs of recovery, though, in the third quarter on the back of government measures, but the pickup was short-lived. Hwang Ji-hye gives us the numbers.
Weighed down by slowing global and domestic demand, the Korean economy grew 2.6% last year. This marks the slowest pace of expansion in 3 years and comes as the economy was hit hard by the MERS outbreak, as well as sluggish exports mainly caused by the slowdown in China.
The contribution of exports to growth dropped for the sixth straight quarter in the last quarter of 2015. Domestic demand was responsible for 2 percentage points of growth in the third quarter, but that dropped to 0.8 percentage points in the fourth quarter.
Despite the pickup that the economy showed in the third quarter last year thanks to a number of government-led sales events to jumpstart spending, the growth rate more than halved in the last 3 months. The Bank of Korea attributes the slowdown to a drastic drop in investment in the construction sector, prompted by weakening home transactions. But some experts say there is a silver lining ahead on the export front.
Korea is expecting the free trade deal with China and entry into emerging markets like India and Vietnam with high potential purchasing power to improve exports.
Still feeble overall global demand and oil prices, which are hitting fresh lows, remain some of the major concerns for this year. And with a majority of foreign and local institutions expecting Korea to expand in the 2% range again in 2016, Finance Minister Yoo Il-ho on Tuesday once again urged ministries to do their best in front-loading their budget spending in the first 3 months. Markets are also seeing mounting expectations for more monetary easing by Korea's central bank to prop up recovery momentum that will further drive down the key interest rate that already stands at a record low of 1.5%. Hwang Ji-hye, Arirang News.
In local politics, the country's two main rival parties just couldn't narrow their differences over the passage of bills that have long been on their agenda. And lawmakers still have a long way to go until they can find a compromise. But they'll have to move quickly. The current session ends in less than 2 weeks. For details, we turn to Kim Young-gil.
The ruling Saenuri Party said Tuesday lawmakers are neglecting their parliamentary duties, and it's of no help to the nation's stagnant economy.
In order to ensure the country's economic competitiveness, we must pass these livelihood bills and carry out structural reforms. This continued political wrangling is becoming an obstacle to our economic growth.
The floor leader put extra emphasis on the passage of 5 labor reform bills he says are needed for creating quality jobs and boosting growth. Neither the main opposition Minju Party nor the labor community are happy with the proposed reforms, especially one bill that would make it easier for companies to fire underperforming workers. They also object to another bill that would extend the amount of time from 2 years to 4 before companies are required to hire irregular workers on regular employment contracts. The ruling party says the bill protects irregular workers, while the opposition claims it will only encourage companies to lay workers off before the time is up. The ruling party is also trying to persuade the opposition to bundle the irregular worker bill with one on redrawing the country's electoral map, but the Minju Party isn't likely to agree.
The Saenuri Party is trying to tie one of the contentious bills on overhauling the labor market to the redistricting bill. It's holding the redistricting bill hostage, and we must pass that first.
The current electoral map became invalid at the end of last year due to changes in the population. Lawmakers are trying to reach a compromise on the constituency bill before a parliamentary election in April and hope to find common ground on the other bills before the current parliamentary session ends on February 8th. Kim Young-gil, Arirang News.
Two South Korean victims of Japan's wartime sexual enslavement of women held a press conference in Tokyo condemning the agreement reached by the two governments just under a month ago. Speaking on Tuesday at the Diet, Lee Ok-sun and Kang Il-chul demanded Prime Minister Shinzo Abe apologize to them in person and pay them reparations. They accused Abe of trying to silence the victims by burying them off with what they said was the meager compensation outlined in the agreement. They also said they do not blame the Japanese public, rather it is the fault of the Japanese government and Prime Minister Abe. The landmark agreement reached in December included an indirect apology from Abe and a fund of 1 billion yen, or roughly $8 million for the South Korean victims. Planes carrying thousands of passengers have been departing Jeju International Airport all day long after heavy snow forced the airport to close for nearly 2 days. But there are still thousands more passengers waiting to go. Some 20,000 passengers were able to leave on this Tuesday morning, and an additional 20,000 are scheduled on flights taking off through the rest of the day. That's after an initial 32,000 people were put on flights starting at around 3 p.m. on Monday and continuing through the night. An estimated 87,000 people were stuck on the southern resort island after the snow hit. Authorities say they will have the backlog of passengers cleared by Wednesday afternoon, when airport services will be back to normal. The extreme cold in Korea is freezing vegetable supplies, leading to a significant jump in prices. That's bad news for both customers and merchants alike, especially with a major holiday that demands a traditional feast involving these produce on the horizon. Oh Soo-young brings us this report.
Here at one of Seoul's fresh produce markets, shoppers are tightening their belts as the price of vegetables has shot up in the past week. A kilo of radishes now costs around 57 cents. That's 54% higher than last week. The price of other vegetables have also climbed by 20 to 40%. These include staple foods for Koreans: cabbages, lettuce, pumpkins and chili peppers.
I came to the market to stock up on my groceries, but the prices have risen so high all of a sudden, so I ended up not buying some of the vegetables I need. I think the weather is to blame.
It's not just customers that are feeling the blow. Due to the Arctic weather conditions in Korea, local merchants have been experiencing a literal freeze in their stocks and sales.
During the past 2 weeks of freezing cold weather, we've been getting less stock from our suppliers, and the limited number of vegetables we have all frozen up in the cold. Prices have gone up 3 to 4 times, so our customers just walk away after asking for the price.
Fruit prices haven't yet been affected. But households and merchants are worried because Lunar New Year is only 2 weeks away, and the celebrations involve tables laden with fruits and other kinds of produce.
I'm concerned because the prices are already getting high. It'll be more expensive to prepare the foods for all of our family members at the gathering.
It all depends on the weather.
Prices rose because production levels haven't been good. But the weather is forecast to get better this week, so as the temperature climbs, harvesting and production will recover and prices will stabilize.
Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
Volkswagen drivers in Korea are planning to file a class action lawsuit against a German carmaker in the U.S. for manipulated emission results in vehicles with 3-liter engines. This is in addition to another ongoing class action suit filed by owners of 2-liter models with the cheat devices. The group's legal representative says a growing number of Volkswagen customers in Korea are making inquiries about possible legal action regarding related damages claims. The lawsuit is likely to be filed next month, with a similar suit to follow in Korea. According to market estimates, around 50,000 to 100,000 Volkswagen cars with the defeat device have been sold in Korea. There is rising concern over the fast-spreading Zika virus since an outbreak of the disease in Brazil has spread. Experts have linked the disease to brain damage in thousands of babies, and with more cases being reported across Central and South America, regions in Asia are now in alert, and Korea has stepped up to take preventive measures before it's too late. Our Lee Ji-won has more.
The Korea Centers for Disease Control and Prevention announced Tuesday that it plans to designate the Zika virus as an infectious disease. This means that systems to report, monitor, and diagnose the disease will be implemented in medical institutions to prevent it from spreading if it enters the country. It also enables medical workers to respond more quickly to possible cases. So far, there have been no reported cases in Korea. The KCDC says the possibility of it spreading in the country is low since the main carriers of the virus, mosquitoes, are inactive in the winter. The Zika virus is a mosquito-borne illness which has been linked to brain deformities in newborns and serious, sometimes deadly, developmental delays. However, adults infected with the virus typically show mild symptoms including fever, rash, and red eyes. 80% of those infected show no symptoms at all. Outbreaks have historically occurred in remote parts of Africa and the Pacific Islands. But after the first cases of it outside these areas were reported in Brazil last May, the virus has quickly spread. The World Health Organization has warned that the disease will soon be found throughout the Americas. There's currently no treatment or vaccine for the Zika virus. As concerns grow over threat the disease poses to pregnant mothers and unborn children, doctors and scientists are now racing to find a potential drug to fight the virus, but experts say the process to find a safe treatment could take years. 이지원, Arirang News.
And that's it from us at this hour. Thank you for watching.